other deaf people
What?
are
They're
upset.
just mad because you didn't
Yes.
choose them. That's why.
Yeah.
They're just mad because they
I
chose.
thought that at first,
That was
but
because you
no.
didn't get chose. That's why they're bad.
Oh, welcome up to the Alpha Primos podcast, the podcast where we talk about anything and everything from Jenga to the woke agenda. Hey, I'm Juan Solo.
Nicely done.
Very nice. Very nice.
And I am the Tower of Power, too sweet to be sour. I'm JJ.
Ooh. And like I said earlier, I'm Paco. No relation.
Wait.
Yes.
No, we're
Paco,
related.
Paco is not a primo.
He's just this guy we found.
Yep.
We found him in the Warzone chat.
Yeah, we found him in Warzone, and we're like, hey, we need a third guy for this thing. And that sounded a lot worse when we said it out loud.
It's like it's just like Horrible Bosses when he's like, "You do what work?" Yes, I do. That's one of the best scenes. The show's hilarious.
But yeah,
we got our bosses to kill each other. You guys are some fucking evil geniuses.
But yes, but speaking of bosses, as everyone knows, the true G's are our fans who tune in and watch the show, leave comments. Unfortunately, we don't have any comments on the last episode.
No, we don't have any true G's. We don't have any true G's.
So, but
soon we have true G's.
But yes, everybody that watches this show, you all are the real alphas.
Aren't they bringing back Takeshi's Castle?
Yes,
bringing back Takeshi's Castle.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. But it might be. Isn't it on hiatus? Is that one of the ones that's on hiatus because of the WGA strike?
Well, no, it's in Japan.
No, because it's Japan.
Okay. But I thought it was Netflix too. But so Netflix doesn't have control of that, I guess.
Well, I mean, only the American productions would be affected because it's the American Writers Guild. So any Japanese productions.
That lets you know how dumb I am. My
comments. But yeah, to my understanding, I think it's already out in like other parts of the world in Japanese, and it's on Amazon Prime. So fingers crossed. Once it's translated, we'll get it here in the States.
Oh fuck yeah, dude! I love.
I'll just learn Japanese. How hard could that be? I can already say turtle destruction wave.
Alphabets. We got 3 alphabets.
I know 2 of them already.
Yeah. Yep.
I know
that'll definitely work.
Spanish has got some extra letters. That counts as a separate alphabet.
Word. Now
yes,
Chicana and Latinx.
But yes, before we move on to our topics, I did want to highlight that we did gain 2 more subscribers since the last episode, bringing our numbers up to 11. So we're in the double digits now, boys.
Slowly but surely.
Sky's the limit, baby.
If the trend keeps going, by 2078 we'll have 1,000 subscribers.
So we're gonna
get hell yeah.
We're getting like a cardboard play button, right? Like that's how it works.
Yeah, I think
you
once you get 10,
like minerals.
Yeah, when you get 10, YouTube sends you a play button made out of like paper, like from like they just get like a journal and they just write congrats, and then they send that to you.
That's good enough for me.
Yeah, and then at 100, it's a cardboard one, and it just kind of goes up from there.
Keeps going up. Keeps getting better materials.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so we should be getting our paper notebook play button in the mail very, 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 very soon. And when we get it, it'll most likely be sent to my address. I'll display it back here.
Yes.
With that said, before we move on, this is a message from myself from the future. If this episode gets delayed, and I'm pretty sure it's gonna get delayed, hence why it's a message from me from the future, this is me giving the apology in advance, but it is just that I am in the middle of moving, hence why my background is so empty, And so we've been packing stuff up, moving it to the new place. So that's going to eat up my editing time. Likewise, we are going to be out of town for these upcoming weekends, which eats up even more editing time. So it's safe to say this episode might not come out at the scheduled appearance, but when it does hit, I just want to give everyone a thank you in advance for dealing with this and watching it when it does release.
Thank the new subscriber that we're going to get within that time frame. Thank
Oh,
you,
hell
new
yeah.
subscriber, whoever you are, wherever you are.
Mhm. Yes, and whoever those new subscribers are, just remember y'all are the real alphas.
Well, they're real top G's.
Yes. All right, so let us now move on to our first topic of discussion. Let's talk about E3 and how it doesn't exist anymore
It's gone,
because,
man.
yep, it's gone. We have nothing
And I
to look
always look
forward to
forward to
this summer.
going. Always look forward to going. Like I always wanted to go ever since, you know, 'cause I remember the first time seeing it. I think it was when like G4 was still pretty new, and that's
Mm-hmm.
where I would watch it at. And I was like, man, I want to fucking go to that. That shit looks like something because I want to go to every fucking convention because every convention I see looks fucking awesome. But now it's gone. It was what digital this last year, wasn't it? Wasn't it streamed this last year? It was streamed, I believe. And now I don't even think they're gonna do anything like each fucking
Well,
system or each company's going to do their own thing instead.
I mean, they did one a few years ago. I want to say before COVID, or it was
Mm-hmm.
during COVID, and they did one, and then they hadn't done one for a while because of the pandemic, and then finally they just killed it. They
Yeah,
put it in, and I shouldn't say we have nothing to look forward to in the summer because during COVID, that's when Summer Game Fest rolled around, and ultimately that was the one that like probably knocked out E3 because they took all the big hitters. Like last I heard, I think Nintendo's gonna like have stuff at the game Summer Game Fest. So it's like, dang, like it really is all these big companies. They left the big boy, which was E3, to go for the little guy.
well, maybe E3 just wasn't doing anything new. It was getting stale.
Yeah, that's what it was. Cause
Mm-hmm.
E3, it didn't evolve fast enough. Uh, like even when G4 or Tech TV, whatever it was called, even when they would go and they would like show content, and that would be like pretty much everything that's on the channel for like that weekend.
Yeah,
Even during those times, it's like you have to have a press pass to go.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't open to the public. It didn't get open to the public till like the 2010s, I want to say, maybe like the late 2000s, but like the 20 early 2010s is when I really remember it being like, oh shit, like the angry video game nerds going,
Mm-hmm.
Angry Joe's going, like these dudes that I watch on the internet, they're going.
yeah,
uh,
because that's about when the YouTube boom started happening. When all these
Mm-hmm.
YouTubers that we've been watching for years already really started, like, I guess mainstream really started, like, oh shit, these guys are actually doing something. You know, we're losing viewers and stuff to YouTube now. And
Yep.
YouTube
yeah.
is still going strong, even with all the controversies and all the stupid people on there.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing is that E3 was still charging an arm and a leg for you to go there. Like if you go, if you go to any con, right, like you kind of have to
Mm-hmm.
pay a due to like even set up a booth to be like in the artist alley or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You have to jump through some hoops, and maybe you have to pay a fee depending on the place. E3
Yeah.
was charging, since it was industry only, like that was the origins of it. It was an expo for people in the industry. They
Yeah.
could get away with
Mm-hmm.
like charging these exorbitant amounts, but then once it became like a regular like Comic Con kind of thing, it was like, well, why are we, companies like Nintendo were like, why are we paying this much to go here when like PAX only charges us or doesn't charge us at all? And we
Yeah.
kind of get a better turnout at PAX. Like, Like, we
Mhm.
could just
Yeah,
we could just show off our own shit like digitally with a pre-recorded thing
yep.
and send the demos over to PAX. Like,
Yeah, and part of it's also that you would pay all this money to have a press conference to show off your stuff, and for the last few years, I remember Nintendo was constantly being dragged because their press conferences were underperforming
Hmm.
because people would get hyped for E3. So everyone's expectations are like to the moon. And so it was to the point where every time they were having a press conference at E3, which was every year, they're always like, "Oh, we're gonna see another Mario, we're gonna see another Zelda, we're gonna see another you name it," and it's like those games were still years away from release, so they had nothing to show. So they're showing off a lot of their smaller games, a lot of their smaller projects, and the hardcore base just didn't give a flying fuck. And so you have like you know years and years where their conferences are underperforming. So again, it boils back to Nintendo's like, why are we paying all this money just for the press online to drag us when we're better off just doing our own thing? Because their Nintendo directs were always like uh held in high praise. Whenever there was a Nintendo direct, you're like, oh hell yeah, let's go.
Yeah,
And they would always announce some really cool stuff. So yeah, it made more sense for Nintendo to go, you know what? Let's not waste money. Let's just do the directs, which are reviewed a lot higher, and we can do them in house. And yeah, and so everything else just kind of fell into place. And very soon, everyone else just started copying them. PlayStation followed with their state of play, and then now Xbox, Microsoft, they're doing their own digital one also. I don't know what they call their digital conference presentations, but yeah, they moved
I
on
don't
to
know
the
either.
same thing.
I don't know what they call it either. Yeah, but I think it's just because even though Nintendo didn't really have a lot to show off whenever like E3 came around, their games were always still top notch because they focus more on like the quality of the game. Whereas you don't have bugs and all these BS you have to deal with, unlike with a lot of these big title games that we get, because they just want to show off a trailer for the new God of War or the new Call of Duty or whatever is tickle somebody's fancy that year, and then the game gets released and it's shit. Just like what was it, Cyberpunk when it first hit, and
Mm-hmm.
how buggy and how horrible that was because they just wanted to push it out, felt pressure from the fans and stuff, and they just wanted to push it out. And then what was the other one that had a lot of big hype behind it? Was it at E3 that I think that it had hype behind? Was No Man's Land or No Man's Sky? My bad, No Man's Sky had a bunch of big hype behind it, and then the game
Mm-hmm.
got released after like 4 hours of playing. Maybe you got bored. You were just done because there was nothing. Because everybody assumed like, oh man, you get these AI or these random generated worlds exploring the universe, and you do all this, but then you didn't get to do anything. You couldn't interact with like the planet. You couldn't shoot anybody. That was I was thinking. I was like, oh man, it's gonna be like GTA in space, go to different planets and like kill the locals. Yeah, and take their and but nope. Instead, I'm just jumping around on top of mountains, and it looks cool. Don't get me wrong. And then they updated it real quick. Didn't even that guy like he like stopped making games and stuff too because it got hit so bad or it got reviewed so bad.
No, he actually kept working on it, and the game's good now. It's
Oh, it
playable.
is. I haven't played it. I haven't even gone back
Yeah.
to it.
Dude,
No, yeah.
dude,
The No Man's Sky has a very interesting story as far as like how it did poorly, and then they managed to turn that ship around. Pun not intended. Um,
Yeah.
However, if I remember correctly, I think No Man's Sky was shown off at the Game Awards, not at E3. But
Oh,
the point
okay,
still
okay.
stands that it was shown, um, and yeah, it met to a lot of hype, and it just released way too early.
well,
I will
I
say
have a
one thing.
perfect example of E3 hype, although it's not an example of something releasing way too early. It might actually be the opposite. Shenmue 3.
Ah,
Uh
So Shenmue uh 1 and 2 are like cult classics amongst
mhm.
Xbox
mhm.
people
Yeah.
and people who were fortunate enough to have an original Dreamcast.
Yep. I
But
wasn't.
the story never concluded. Like you only got those two games, and the story wasn't even like half done. Like it starts off with your father being kung fu murdered, so you need to avenge him. And by the
Yes.
end of two, you still haven't avenged him.
You're just barely
So-
finishing training.
yeah, not even. So then he just get the bad guy just gets away. The guy that the kung fu assassin just like gets on a helicopter and leaves. Like you didn't even smell his fart.
Mhm.
Like he was
Son
gone.
of a bitch.
uh so people were super pumped when PlayStation announced that yeah, Shenmue 3 is coming if you donate to this Kickstarter. Red flag number one.
Mhm.
Funny though.
Wait a minute. Like, why is it an E3 if it's just a Kickstarter? Like, but okay, like people were ravenous for this game, so like, it got
Should have
funded.
done it.
It met
Yeah.
every stretch goal. I think it broke the record for like fastest funded video game on Kickstarter.
Yeah.
It might still hold that record. I'm not sure, but
No, because almost every game that gets announced
breaks
on
that record.
Kickstarter, they keep dethroning the previous one.
But
Mhm.
it was a massive success. The Kickstarter was a massive success, but then like there was some shenanigans with with additional funding. Like they switched publisher over to Deep Silver, and Deep Silver was like, "Okay, we're gonna make this an Epic Game Store exclusive because they're gonna give us a bigger cut." But when the Kickstarter was around, it was like, no, you could pre-order it for Steam. You could so the fuck happens to my donation, right? Like I
Yeah.
paid for the Steam copy, like I should get the Steam copy on launch. So that was red flag number 2. Probably really like red flag number 3 at that point. But but anyway, game finally comes out and it's fucking Shenmue. uh, it's not great in the sense that when Shenmue 1 and 2 came out, they were revolutionary, right? Like they were doing
Mhm.
Yeah.
stuff in those games that like no one had ever done or come close to. You could open every drawer and look into it. It was like one of the first kind of open world esque games where you could explore the city and do everything. But this was also like during the early 3D era. So there was a lot of jank that came with it, right? Like you would see
Yeah.
a lot of the same cutscenes over and over again, or you would repeat a lot of the same tasks over and over again. So you would think that with time, with all the time that's passed between Shenmue 2 and 3, the creative people behind it would have, adopted modern game design sensibilities and gotten rid of all that jank. They did not. That shit's still there. And to make matters worse, spoilers for anyone who wants to play Shenmue 3. You still
I know what you're
don't
gonna say.
you still
Mhm.
don't avenge your kung fu murdered father. He still he gets in a helicopter and flies the fuck away. You don't
I
even
feel like
land a punch on him.
I feel like at this point he should just learn how to fly helicopters and just sneak in and crash the motherfuckers. Like fuck you.
Mm.
This is how I'm gonna get my
It,
revenge.
He should go to
it,
Thailand in Shenmue 4, where he runs into like Rambo from Rambo 3, the beginning of
Um,
Rambo 3, when he's just like at the temple.
mm.
And
and
Rambo
and let
teaches him
me
how to shoot like rocket arrows.
A- and let me crush any potential fans' dreams of Shenmue 4. It won't wrap up the story because they did an interview with the creator and he said like, "Oh no, the story branches into like 16 chapters."
16
so
mother.
so yeah, guys, I
Man
think
is
the ending of
ambitious.
4 is gonna be uh the same thing. He's gonna get another helicopter. He's gonna fly fly away,
Every
and that's
single
assuming
chapter
we
is
even get a Shenmue 4 because I honestly don't think we're gonna.
more
I
than
think
likely
he's
not.
gonna
I
have
don't
to
think so.
settle for the anime series.
Yeah,
hmm
Like
it,
maybe
it
get
probably
15
it's probably going to
seasons
be
on
better
that.
as an anime. It's
Well,
probably going to be better as an anime.
they are
Adult
making
Swim
one.
did it. Yeah,
Yeah. Or is it is out already, isn't it?
I think
I
it
just
came out
haven't
already.
watched it. Yeah, I just haven't watched it
Mhm.
because I
I'm
don't have
I
cable.
only thing I'm really disappointed as I think about it, think back on it. I am disappointed with like E3 and some of like the other video game like conventions and stuff. Even like E3 and the video game awards because you know there is so much that you could do with all that content and everything that has to do with video gaming. And in all honesty, it's when you watch like the video game awards and some of the E3 stuff, it looks so bland and so just corporate. I guess is the best word to put it. You especially with the video game awards, like all these different categories, you could have done something really cool with them. I mean, of course, I'm not the idea guy for it, but like I am sure that there is somebody out there that's like, oh, we can do this or we could do that, and then didn't this even like the statues they gave away look pretty bland too. I mean, I would have given away something cool, like some kind of award statue in like the shape of a bitch and hammer or a fucking dude with a sword, something that fits along with video games, instead of something just like I don't know, it looks just like a giant stick. I don't know what the fuck this is. It just seems so corporate to me. That's what the one thing that, as I think back on it, was just like, man, they really, I think, dropped the ball where they just, I guess they played it too safe. I guess
Yeah.
because even back then they even like with like G4 they didn't really know if it was going to be successful or not. It really was kind of a risk because for the longest time people always shunned video games. Like for the longest time you play video games for the majority of people like you're a fucking loser. That's what
Mhm.
most people would see you as. Like the majority would be like, oh, you just like to sit there and do LAN parties or you're playing Halo or WoW. It's like, well, yeah, because that shit's fucking fun. And then but now that it's become so mainstream, there's millionaires and all these famous people off of it. It's like now what are you gonna do now? And even now, don't get me wrong, like some of the streamers and some of the people that they get to host this or do this, they just don't do well in that setting. They do well in their Twitch streams and their YouTube stuff, but when you actually put them out there, like the real world kind of stuff, actually hosting and doing stuff, some of them just don't really adapt to it well. You know what
Yeah.
I mean?
Mhm.
What they do on their streams or their channels doesn't necessarily work, out there when they're like hosting or doing something like that. You know what I mean?
I think it's
Yeah.
a issue with direction. Like
Yeah.
because when you're a streamer, you're your own director, you're your
Mm-hmm.
own camera crew and everything. So when you're doing something like an award show, it's like, oh no, now you have to take direction. Now you have to, you know,
Mhm.
be part of an ensemble, uh, and a sort of forced ensemble, right? You're not necessarily going to
Yeah.
be up on stage with someone that you've collaborated with or want to
Mhm.
collaborate with, right?
Yeah.
Like this might be someone that you just met for the first time ever. Like,
Mhm. And I want to
That's
go
very
back
true.
to the thing that Paco mentioned about that it feels too corporate and with the Game Awards. And I think specifically why it feels that way is because uh, Jeff Keighley's behind this one. And I think his goal with the Game Awards was that he wanted it to be taken seriously. He wants
Um,
the awards to actually be, prestigious, if you will.
oh, like Oscar worthy. Like everybody's
Yeah,
going to be
like
watching this.
yeah,
People are going to do a red carpet. Other channels are going to want to report on this. Oh, okay.
yeah,
I see. I
yeah.
see.
I think that's the goal, but behind it. I mean, others can argue, whether they agree with that or not. And you guys can tell us in the comments of what y'all think about that. But I think that was the goal he was trying to do, because back when they used to do other like video game awards, it was done on like Spike TV, and
Yep,
he
I
was
remember.
behind those. Like he would either be in front of the camera or he'd be producing it, and you can tell that when like corporate or the network meddled with the show, because you can tell that that's stuff that he didn't want to do, but he
Yeah,
had to because that was the only way they'd host it. So that's where you end up with like people, celebrities hosting, even though none of them play video games. They
yeah, they don't
even
even like
make
it.
that a joke. Like while they're
Yeah,
there, they're like, I don't even play games, but I got paid and that's why I'm here. And so you see that, and then there's a lot of jokes like just degrading the
yeah,
franchise. The typical mom's basement type comments, you name
yeah,
it. And so I think
Ooh,
it
and the
was just
cringy
that.
dialogue where they try to say like pwned and noobs,
Hmm.
words from like the 2000s that we don't really
Yeah.
use all that.
no use anymore.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh.
yeah. Now you're speaking of Spike. I remember Spike with the Man Channel, Spike TV, where everything's just manly. Thousand Ways to Die, wrestling, action movies, and then on Saturdays, car content. How to build an engine. How do you do? I was like the then what the Man Show was on there, I think for a
Uh,
long time as well. Then they changed it to the other new host, and I remember Spike TV. I thought Spike TV was really gonna make it too. I really thought it was gonna make it, and it
I
didn't.
mean,
Oh,
it's
well, it's
technically
the
still
Paramount
there.
network
It's just
now.
not
Yeah.
called Spike though.
is it really Paramount now?
Yeah, it's the
Yeah,
Paramount network.
it's Paramount.
Oh, okay. Never mind. Never
Yeah.
mind. It did make it. It
Well, I
just
mean, it's
went
the
through a
Paramount
metamorphosis.
It's
network. It's the Paramount network by name, but if
Yeah,
you
but the
watch it,
content's still the same. Yeah,
it's the Bar Rescue channel. 'Cause
yeah,
every time I tune onto it, that's what's on.
that's all they're
Oh,
showing.
but
It's
I mean,
like
I have the
MTV with
Paramount app.
ridiculousness.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
True TV with Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
Took me a while to get into Impractical Jokers. I really wasn't feeling it for the beginning.
No, I love that show.
Wasn't really
Yeah.
feeling it at the beginning. No, it's I like it a little bit more now. I like it more now because I've watched the other practical joke content out there, and I'm like, the other practical joke content out there is just cruel.
Yeah, no, these guys are doing it
Practical joke,
right because
and I just
they're
Yeah.
too funny.
always the butt of the joke.
Yeah,
Hmm.
That's
practical
always what I
jokers.
liked about them, where it's like uh, every like prank channel on YouTube was them like essentially just harassing people,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and and to a degree, Impractical Jokers does that as well, but it's always at their expense, right? Like they're always the
yeah,
Hmm.
assholes.
yeah. They're
Yeah.
always making fun of themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
You know,
Yeah.
they're not sitting there degrading people or
right.
cruel to people. It's they're being cruel to themselves.
Yeah, yeah,
They may be at most they're like a minor inconvenience to people.
yeah.
Maybe they're like a minor inconvenience, but they're the ones that are the butt of you're right. They're the ones that are the butt of the joke.
Hmm.
They're the ones that are the butt. That's just fucking prank content.
See, I'm trying to see if I can find a schedule of all the upcoming like gaming like conferences and stuff, and I'm upset because I saw a post on Twitter like predicting the possible like dates, but I can't find it anymore.
It's lost in the sauce.
So damn it. Okay, here we go. I found it. Here we go. So this is just a prediction. We don't know if these are the confirmed dates of anything, but they're saying that in the last week of May there might be a PlayStation showcase.
Okay.
Okay.
And then in June we're gonna have the Summer Game Fest, and Xbox and Bethesda are gonna be combined to have their own showcase. Uh, Ubisoft is gonna have a show, and yeah, I think that's about it. Everything else is just kind of like a prediction, so I'd rather not
Yeah.
delve too
So
much into what's being speculated. But
I'll go ahead and speculate. Bethesda is gonna obviously show off Starfield,
mhm,
Yeah.
right? Because that comes out. That's supposed to come out this year. I don't know if it'll get
yeah,
pushed back. Um, I think they're also probably gonna tease a little more Elder Scrolls because they showed the title like 5 years ago.
yeah,
They showed
That
the
motherfucker still isn't out yet?
not
no,
Elder Scrolls 6. I mean,
Jeez.
they've re-released every time the well's running dry. Todd Howard's like, let's put Skyrim on something else.
no.
Is it on
Mm.
Switch yet? Put it on Switch again. Fuck it. Call it the enhanced edition.
I didn't think I was gonna like Skyrim when I first played it, but I enjoyed it a lot actually. I really
Skyrim
did.
is like
It's fun.
it's the user-friendly version of Elder Scrolls.
Elder
Cuz
Elder
like
Scrolls,
Scrolls.
cuz like
even though I had
Morrowind
no idea what I was doing.
yeah, cuz Morrowind and Oblivion are a little more like harder
Mhm.
RPG kind of
Yeah.
thing, and
Yeah.
Skyrim's like, here's a stick, go whale on some
Go.
dragons. um, I th- that's what I predict for Bethesda. I don't know what like Microsoft themselves is going to show. Uh,
Just the new Halo TV show.
mm.
That's it.
Mm,
I know they're filming
Mm.
it right now. I think they're filming it. I believe
Oh God.
the new
Oh,
the new
did
season
you
of Halo.
did you see the Actman's video?
No.
Fellow YouTuber, the Act Man, uh, did a he's a big time Halo fan,
Uh,
and so he basically did a video where it's just kind of him like talking to the camera, and he's giving the layout of how he would have written a Halo show, and he
yeah.
gives like a summary of season one if he would have like written it or been involved in it.
Send me the link to that because I want to watch that because I want like I always grew up as a PlayStation person.
Mm.
I was an Xbox. I didn't like switch over to Xbox until I moved to Austin. But I I did like Halo, and I thought the Halo lore was cool. I even read the books, and I thought that was some cool ass lore. And then I saw the show, and I was like, man, for in all honesty, like the last what is it 10 minutes 5 minutes of the Halo season 1 is like what everybody wanted to see because it's basically just Master Chief beating the shit out of everybody, like just literally that was like the last 5 minutes of just Master Chief just it just like, all right, I'm about to fuck shit up, and he just balls to the walls beating the hell out of everybody, and I was like, where was this the whole time? Why did you have to add in the sidekick? Why couldn't he just be beating people up this whole fucking season? That's everything I wanted to see. I just wanted to see Master Chief out there kicking ass. But no. Instead, I got his ass cheeks, an Asian sidekick, and then him losing his virginity. That's Master Chief clap cheeks. Master Chief clap those cheeks. And I'm pretty sure everybody was curious. Why did you just show that scene? Everybody would have been curious of like, what's his stroke game like? Don't act like you wouldn't. Like that awkward ass man just getting some ass is just like, that's gotta be a really awkward sex scene.
I need
Like
I need to know what years of super science to
super,
create the perfect soldier, what the perfect stroke is. Like I need to know.
I know, we have to know. I feel like you just gotta realize, like, man, he's a super soldier. He's like, engineered to be top tier of everything. You gotta wonder, like, what that would have been like. Did she have to guide him? Did she have to tell him what to do, or was it just like, I'm about to clap these cheeks real hard? Like that just is something I was just like, I was just curious. Like, just show that scene. That's the fans you really want to see. Let's be honest. That's the only fans everybody wants to see.
uh,
Yeah, I'll say this much:
yeah,
as far as the PlayStation one, I mean, it's being rumored, but I think the only reason people are like speculating about that one is because, I mean, the rumors are going around that they want to remaster slash remake a
Metal
Metal
Gear.
Gear Solid game, but like that
Mm-hmm.
rumor's been going around for years. At this point, I don't believe it. And then the other thing is, we still haven't heard shit about Spider-Man 2, and that
Yeah,
one's supposed to come out
Spider-Man.
this year also.
Spider-Man 2 is definitely making an appearance there.
Okay, that
Mhm.
was such a fun game, man. Spider Man was such
um,
a fun game. I really wish they would have put it on Xbox. I
who?
just had to play it at your house, JJ. I just had to play it. But I would have
uh,
liked.
yeah, I mean, I haven't played Miles Morales yet, but I like Spider-Man
It's
1 a
good.
lot. Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Um, I'm trying to think what other studio they own, because like, uh, is Insomniac Ratchet? No, Insomniac Spider-Man. Who's
Mhm.
Ratchet and Clank? I don't think Ratchet and Clank have got anything coming out.
I thought they did. I thought didn't
Uh,
they have like an ending video game or something like, or like they go out with a bang?
Oh wait, Sucker Punch is also working on something.
Suck.
Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
They split into two teams, didn't they? They have one
Yeah,
working
yeah.
on.
Ratchet and Clank's also Insomniac.
It is Insomniac. Okay,
Yeah.
all right. I'm not stupid. Well, I am, but my memory serves. That brain stuff works. um. So, well, if they're busy, well, that's what Insomniac's
uh,
going to show off then.
and Naughty Dog's been working on that multiplayer Last of Us game for years, so
Ever, yeah,
I don't know if we're gonna get an update on that. But even then, it's just speculation. We don't know what's gonna happen. We don't know what they're gonna
yeah.
Multiplayer
show.
Last of Us, really?
Yeah, it's because so
Last
the
of Us
Last of Us
One
when it
had a
originally came out, it had multiplayer,
Mm-hmm.
and when they remastered it for the PS4, they kept the multiplayer. But then when they were working on the sequel, it was taking too long and they kept delaying the sequel, and they said working on the multiplayer is just going to delay the game even longer.
Yeah.
So they just decided to split it. That, and they had a bunch of ideas for the multiplayer anyway. So they said
Mm-hmm.
it was better to just split it and make the multiplayer its own game. And so that's what they've been actively working on, assuming there isn't another project. And let's face it, there probably is
Yeah.
another project they're working on, but we don't know about that one yet. They haven't announced anything. And I think that's good
Crash
because
Bandicoot
I do
5.
think because I do
Oh,
think
wait,
part of the
Activision owns that
problem,
now. Damn.
yeah, part of the problem with games is that they announce them too early.
Yeah.
I think they need to like just bite the tongue a little bit, or at most
Well,
just like confirm that you're working on it online if it gets out, like if it leaks,
yeah.
but
That's the
don't
thing.
show anything until.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's the thing about it's like a weird balancing act because
Mhm.
I do agree with you that sometimes games are announced just like way too early, but also sometimes like the fan base is just too ravenous,
Yeah,
too
too
like
thirsty.
too
Yeah.
thirsty for news or for updates that like you kind of have to throw them a bone every once in a while. Like I
Mhm.
think Bethesda did the smart thing by saying like, "Hey, yeah, we are working on an Elder Scrolls, but like it's going to be a while." And by a while,
Yeah.
I mean like a fucking while.
Oh, fucking
Yeah.
long.
But but it's not dead. We're working on it. It's not going to end with Skyrim.
Mhm.
That's the smart play because if you go the other extreme where it's like you don't say anything at all, you end up with the Diablo Immortal situation
Mhm.
where at that point when Diablo Immortal was announced, the fan base was ravenous for Diablo 4 or for
Mhm.
the next Diablo 3 expansion. Like there hadn't been any major updates to Diablo the franchise in
Mhm.
years. So when BlizzCon happens and they're like, "Yeah, we're making Diablo immortal. It's a phone game." Of course people were going to be pissed off. This is a primarily PC based fan base. Like
Mhm.
the PC master race does not like to acknowledge that other shit is exists.
Mhm.
they don't, they they don't like to acknowledge that console is a thing, let alone phones.
Yeah. Yeah, I think
um,
it's like I would say it's almost similar to like Rockstar in that Rockstar is also like very hush hush on stuff, and like it's obvious that like they're working on Grand Theft Auto 6, and that's part of what like I hate about the fan base is that you see Grand Theft Auto 6 rumors all the time on Twitter, and it's like, do you guys not remember how long it took for Grand Theft Auto 5 to finish?
Yeah,
Like it's gonna take just as long, you know.
maybe
And
even
it's not
longer.
out of laziness, it's out of scope, it's of scale. Like these games are massive.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
they take a long time to work on. And so I do like their approach in that they are very quiet and they really don't like to show anything until they know it's around the corner. It's close to meeting the deadlines. But yeah, and then going back to the whole Diablo thing, yeah, it reminds me of years ago with Microsoft where they showed Conquer from Conquer's Bad Fur Day
yeah.
at E3, and everyone got really hyped because they thought we were getting another Conquer's Bad Fur Day or something like that. And then it turns out that no, he was just going to be DLC for another game called Project Spark that is now defunct. It doesn't exist anymore. They
Yeah.
shut it down. And so I think that's also another issue. It's like read the room, people. Like don't
They're not
it
the
it
only
it, it
ones that.
remi- like it reminds me of like those old school like April Fools jokes that they used to do, where they used to like for April Fools they would show off something that you would get really excited for because it's so cool, but then you find out it's an April Fool's joke, and it's like, man, why don't you guys have the balls to actually make that so that
Yeah.
it's not an April Fool's joke?
The
Make my
Legend of
dreams
Zelda
come true.
movie, the Legend of Zelda
Yeah,
movie. True, I
Hey,
remember
that
yeah,
might
people were
actually
I.
mad about
happen
that
when
one.
Mario was successful.
Mhm.
That's true. I
Now,
hope it's
as
animated
successful
though.
as Mario was, that might actually become a thing. Shit, Super Smash
I,
Brothers might become a real fucking movie, and I will
I
be in
know.
the theaters to watch.
I know. Years ago, they had did a test for an animated Legend of Zelda movie. It was by the studio that did that CGI TMNT movie.
That
Oh
was a good
yeah,
movie,
yeah.
by the way. Yeah, I like
Yeah,
Yeah,
that movie.
yeah, yeah.
they did like a almost like 2 minutes of like test footage, and it's fully animated and everything for a Legend of Zelda movie, and it ended up leaking online, and the look was okay. I didn't hate it, but I think the big thing that people didn't like is that in that 2 minute clip, I think you see like I think like Zelda's like locked up in like a cage being carried by like Lizalfos or something, and Link chases after him. And no one really liked that because it's like, when is Princess Zelda ever gonna be put in that situation where she's gonna be like trapped in a cage by like these minor henchmen and stuff?
Yeah,
But I was just more in the camp of like, well, it's a test, It's they're pitching it to Nintendo, going like, hey, look what we can do,
you're
Can do
showing off
you
what you can animate. You're
like
showing off what you
yeah
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but I mean, an argument could be made that maybe they should have done something else, not something so, I guess, generic, if that's the word. But
Yeah,
I don't know. It's, this was years ago, a long, long time ago. So But yeah, like you said, maybe we'll see.
Speaking of Conquer, that's a game they need to remaster. Like the new Conquer's Bad Fur Day,
Again.
this time with realistic tits on the flower.
No, well,
It's been
they
remastered once before.
they remastered it on the on the
Well, they
'On
be
360.
the Xbox.
Yeah, it's called Live and Reloaded, I think.
Yeah, Live and Reloaded.
Yeah, the multiplayer kind of sucked in that one. They should have kept the original, but everything
not
else
a,
about it was okay. And ironically, the Xbox version was more censored than the original Nintendo version. So,
really.
yep,
Yeah.
Huh, that's crazy.
yep,
You would think that Nintendo would be the one censoring more stuff, not
yep. Nope,
Microsoft.
nope.
But then
They did it
again,
for this
Microsoft. You got to pay for Word now.
one.
Microsoft.
All right, guys. Well, it's now time to play what is hopefully everybody's favorite game because it's time to play Is It Bullshit? For this round of Is It Bullshit? Mr. Beast is in the news.
God damn it.
Yep, Mr. Beast. What did he do this time? Well, I'll tell you boys what he did this time. He gifted 1,000 deaf people hearing aids.
Why are they
The
mad?
monster.
I
How
know,
dare he?
what a bastard.
What an asshole.
Yep.
You mean
And
this man
so,
has the ability to possibly hear?
yep. And so
How
it
dare
turns out some people are upset. And not just regular normies, other deaf people
what?
are
They're
upset.
just mad because he didn't
Yes.
choose them. That's why.
Yeah.
They're just mad because they
I,
didn't get
I
chose.
thought that at first.
That was
But no.
they didn't get chose. That's why they're mad.
I mean, if I was deaf and I had to just like pay for my hearing aid, and then I hear the next day that Mr. Beast was just giving them out, I'd be a little pissed off.
Yeah, that there arguably that's enough reason to be upset. But no, there this person in particular, I'm reading an article on the Independent. Um they're upset because Mr. Beast in his video doesn't explain that a hearing aid isn't a cure. It's exactly what it sounds like. It's an aid. It can
Mhm.
help, deaf people to hear, but it's not the end all solution. And so they didn't like that it wasn't explained properly that hearing aids don't work for everybody. And for some people, they don't like them. It just doesn't work. They're uncomfortable. You name it.
Mhm.
And so the big argument seems to be that there wasn't enough done to explain the hearing aid situation across
Mhm.
the deaf community, and that it's just seen more as a, I'm trying to find the word that they used so I could quote it
For
properly.
clout.
There we go. Inspiration porn. So
Oh
with that
my
said, I now bring the question to you guys: is it bullshit?
Wait, how do you mean is it bullshit? Like the article exists. It's real.
Like no. I don't mean is it bullshit like in the sense if it's real or fake. I mean like, you know, if you get fired from your job, you go like, "Oh, that's some bullshit," you know? Like you don't like it. You don't agree
I'm
with
thinking
it.
people's reactions are is that the bullshit? Which I'm gonna say kind of and kind of not. I
Yeah.
Okay.
get it now after, like at the very first when I heard about this and when you mentioned it, I was like fucking assholes. Like he's helping people. Like Jesus fucking Christ, stop being a bitch. You're probably just mad because you didn't get chose. And then you read the articles, and it's like, okay, maybe I can see, okay, yeah, you're right. Hearing aids are not a complete cure. There's other stuff going on in between. But I still don't think you should be mad at Mr. Beast for helping these people. Because, okay, yeah, hearing aids don't work for anybody. I'm pretty sure before he went out and shelled out all this money to give these 1,000 people hearing aids, they had to go through some sort of process. Because, yes, maybe some people don't want hearing aids. These people probably did want hearing aids. They probably did, like, oh, yeah, I would want a hearing aid. I need a hearing aid. It's not uncomfortable for me. This does work for me. Then, okay, we'll buy it for you. I'm pretty sure they interviewed tons of people like, oh, well, this isn't going to work for me because of my condition, or I've already tried them in the past, or I've already had this and it doesn't work. Like, okay, then, well, you're not going to get a fucking hearing aid. This other guy is because it works for him. And I don't think it's Mr. Beast's job either to have to explain literally everything. He's going to miss a few things. And I'm sorry, but I don't think that Mr. Beast is doing this for fucking clout or to like boost karma points or anything. I genuinely think he's trying to help people. He has the ability to do so. He's well taken care of himself. He takes care of his friends, and he also takes care of a lot of people in the process. And I mean, yeah, I'm sure there is a business aspect to point to it. But all his videos are good. I mean, not everything that he does are, all of his videos are entertaining. That's what gets him the money, and he puts the money back into the videos and back into the people that he helps. So I don't see this as him, like, jerking off to himself, like, oh yeah, I'm such a good person. Oh, good karma. Like, I don't think that's it. I think some of these people are just like, dude, you have to find something to be pissed off about everything. Literally, there's like, we're feeding the hungry. Well, some people are vegetarians. Well, they can go eat fucking grass, okay? These people aren't. These people are eating fucking real food, man. Jesus fucking Christ. He's feeding people. I'm fucking sorry that he didn't give them non-GMO, organic, whatever, shit, dude. Like, that's the bullshit part to me. It's like,
Yeah,
just fucking let it go. He's helping people.
yeah, I'm on the same page as you, where it's like I feel that like overall, it, it's it's a net positive for the planet, for Earth, for humanity, however you want to put it, that these 1,000 people were helped, rather than him just not doing anything, or him
Yeah.
just making a video about something else where it's like,
Him
come
going
check
to
out
buy another
my
Lambo for his best friend.
yeah,
Mm.
him helping out these 1,000 strangers or people that uh sought out the help or wanted the help, got it. That's more of a net positive than the outrage makes it seem to be. Like, I understand fully the guy's complaints, where it's like he could have done more to explain it,
Yeah.
but then at the same time, the part of the article that rubs me the wrong way is that he's like, he could have done more to explain it. Like the name says, they're hearing aids. Well, if it's in the name, how much can you possibly explain? That
Mm.
I get it. Most people aren't gonna know that, like, they're not an end all be all solution, but it's the video itself is bringing more attention to them, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's, I don't know.
Yeah, and like I
I'm
said,
so
it's not his responsibility to have to explain every little fucking detail to you about everything. Go do your own fucking research. Go like, oh man, this is really cool. He's helping people. Maybe you want to do a
Mm.
little bit more research or find out more about it. Then that's fucking great. But he doesn't have to explain every little fucking detail to you about it. It's like, you should be smart enough. I mean, we should be smart enough, but we're not, to go out and be like, oh yeah, well, because don't get me wrong, I was one of those people too, where I didn't know that hearing aids were, like, for the longest time, I didn't know hearing aids weren't, the end all be all. Like
Yeah,
I literally thought when I was young, I
Hmm.
literally thought, oh, they give you a hearing aid and voila, you're fixed.
yeah,
I know that
and that's where I see like that guy's argument.
that guy's
'Cause,
point.
yeah, it's a valid point. The part that rubs me the wrong way is that he goes on to say it's just like the name says. Well, if it's just like the name says, then it's a problem with marketing, bro. Like it's not a
Yeah,
problem with
Hmm.
Mr. Beast. It's a
yeah,
problem with the way
Hmm.
these things
are
are.
marketed.
Yeah,
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
it's
And I guess just to provide more context, and yeah, for the record, I think all three of us are on the same page. Uh, to provide context to this, for people who haven't seen the video is 6 minutes long, and it's done that way because YouTube analytics. And you have to realize Mr. Beast gets the money to do these charities through YouTube revenue. So he has to make sure that the video is clickable and watchable. Right now, the attention span on YouTube is not that big.
Oh
So he
no.
has to make the video as short as possible to make sure people will not just click it, but also watch it. So quite literally does not have the time to do an in-depth deep dive into, you know, uh, how the hearing aids work and how they're not a perfect fit for everybody and stuff like that. And I think part of it is that it I think the part of the complaints these guys have is that, in some of these videos he's kind of front and center, and they're saying that he should put like the people in front and center, like the people he's actually helping. And I think it's just more to do with the fact that it's a 6 minute video. There's not enough time, and he's helping 1,000 people. You can't highlight 1,000 people in 6 minutes. It's just really hard. And so he's just doing his best with what he can. And again, at the end of the day, these videos have to be watchable. Otherwise, he can't help more people. And I think that's where we're kind of at with this one. It's like, could he have explained the stuff better? I mean, maybe, but there's also the possibility that he doesn't know about it. He's just the money. He provides it for these people so they can pay for the service. But that's it. That's where his role in this ends. He's just the pocketbook.
Yeah,
Um, to help
yeah,
out the people. But I mean,
and
hey, more credit to these guys. We're having this conversation
yeah,
now, thanks
yeah.
to his video.
Speaking of, you said he's just a pocketbook. People will still take that argument because then they'll compare it to like somebody else that's just the money behind these horrible acts or this other stuff. Is like, aren't they just as equally responsible? And I'm pretty sure they would use that against him. Like, well, he's the money behind it. He should know better because there's somebody out there that's going to come up with that argument. Just like I just recently heard that apparently losing weight for your health is fat phobic. I shit you not. I've seen like 20, 30 TikToks where people are like, if you're losing weight, you're fat phobic. And I'm like, I'm losing weight because I am extremely obese. And if I don't, I'm going to die very soon. And that's fat phobic. Jesus Christ, man. I'm turning this fucking app off. Like, I just can't. Like, I just can't.
Yeah.
Like what I tell the people like that, I'm like, look, I'm gonna tell you what Ron Swanson said. If you want to live your life and balloon up to 600 pounds and have a heart attack, you can. This is America. You have every right to live the life your way because you're not hurting anybody but yourself. And Mr. Beast, keep out there and donating money to people that fucking need it. Fuck everybody else. You're out there helping people. You're out there. You're helping the blind. You're helping the deaf. Next, I don't know. You're gonna help the mute or people with babies with cleft lips or something.
Mhm.
Didn't he like donate money, donate a bunch of shoes, something too? I'm sure somebody got mad about that. Like,
I think his next miracle is to walk on water. I'm not sure.
I'm telling you, he's one upping Jesus. He's gonna one up Jesus sooner or later. He's gonna one up him. That motherfucker is gonna turn water not into wine, but into like kombucha. Oh, that already happened. It already happens. Never mind. Somebody already does that. It's gonna turn fucking water into, I don't know, the fucking fountain of youth here. Who the hell knows?
I do like booch.
Yeah,
I'm a fan of the booch.
yeah. Kombucha. I've never actually had a kombucha. Never tried
It's
one.
good.
I remember. I remember. I found one. Okay, this is when I worked at the car rental place. We used to find shit in cars all the time, and a lot of the cars that we would clean, people would rent them because they had like a layover of like 4 hours, 5 hours. So they would rent a car, hang around Austin and then bring it back like within a couple of hours. And I remember one of those cars that was clean. I found a kombucha inside of it, like a sealed kombucha, like it hadn't been opened or anything. I was like, oh, I wonder what this is. And somebody told me like, oh, it's some kind of health drink. It's supposed to be good for you. Oh, cool. So like I put it in the fridge at work. When it was finally my lunch break, a couple hours later, I go back to open it. Tasted like it tasted. I don't know if like I got a bad batch or if that was actually in the car for hours in this Texas heat before I opened it, but it tasted like straight vinegar. I was like, this
Oh
is
no, that one
disgusting.
went
Never,
bad.
No,
yeah, and I was like, I never since then I've never touched a kombucha since. I had a
No,
bad
that one went
experience.
bad. It's like
Okay,
regular
so
unflavored
the one.
kombucha is just tea. It's
Oh,
just it's like black tea that they let ferment a little bit, but like
okay. And
it
they've
doesn't
never
taste like
tried it.
vinegar.
It doesn't.
It doesn't taste like vinegar. It's
Oh, okay.
it's
Ooh, thank
supposed
God.
to be like pretty sweet. Well, not
Oh,
like super
well,
sweet, but it's sugary.
I
You
want to
taste
have to try
sugar.
it then. I'll give it another chance. Give that health kick another chance.
Before we wrap up, this is breaking news, so we don't have details. So maybe by the time the episode goes up, we'll have more details on this regarding Mr. Beast. It is being reported by the New York Post that Mr. Beast has reportedly bought a whole neighborhood for his staff to live in North Carolina. So
Jesus.
I,
I want to go. I want to go apply for a job. What neighborhood is it? I'm just gonna go talk.
you
It does require
So
you to live in North Carolina, though.
that's okay.
know,
That's okay. I'll
maybe
live in
maybe
Carolina.
maybe the three of us can apply to be Mr. Beats bodyguards, and
I'm
maybe
totally
we
for
can
that.
do that. You know,
Just surround them constantly.
and yep, we'll see how that goes.
He's gonna try to
But
help blind kids next, and we're just gonna like, tackle him. He's coming at him with a
Get out of the
weapon.
way.
like we're gonna be online on Twitter and gonna be like, hey, this guy was talking mad smack about Mr. Beast. Hey, and he'll pay us under the table like here's the flight, and we're just gonna be like,
Oh,
hey, did you say on this day that Mr. Beast is a Nazi?
so we're gonna be a mix of Jay and Silent Bob and the Pinkertons.
Yes.
That's what we're gonna be. Mr. Beast sends his regards.
We just leave him Mr. Beast Burger.
Or leave him a chocolate bar, Mr. Chocolate
That's
bar.
the calling card.
Just Mr. Beast chocolate bar, like here, put this on your eyeball, baby. It's all free. Or it can be, you know what my favorite one is? It's just gonna you can do it like Colin Farrell in True Detective style, where he's like, "Hey, I just want to talk to him." Put on the brass knuckles. And, he's like, if I ever see you again, I'm gonna butt fuck your mom and skull fuck your dad in the yard.
Exactly.
That was actually a great scene, by the way.
Yep. But all right, and on that note, that is where we will wrap things up. Thanks for watching. Let us know in the comments what you think about the whole Mr. Beast situation, whether you think the situation is bullshit or not, or likewise, just let us know what you think about E3 going away. With that said, we have been the Alpha Primos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you all next time.
And if you
Peace.
don't like Mr. Beast, you're gonna see us three on your front porch.
Oh yeah.